Hi everyone, this is Mr Neel Raithatha, also known as the Wax Whisperer. Thank you for tuning in to my latest video. In this video, I have a couple of patients who attended with bilateral, very wet, sticky, glutinous type of earwax, which is very hard to suction. And therefore, in both instances, I instill some olive oil earwax spray. And what the olive oil does in cases like this, it changes the consistency of this wax. It makes it more suction friendly, if you like. It binds the earwax together a bit more, it lubricates the ear canal wall, and it also lubricates the inside of the suction probe. So as the wax is travelling up, as opposed to getting trapped and blocked, the olive oil helps the waxes travel through and pass through. I had a clear wax training course yesterday where we trained 3 amazing delegates, and I did promise them that I'll upload this video so I can show them how it's performed. And when I first started using olive oil spray or drops during the procedure, I used to soak the ear first and just let the drop stay in the ear for a few minutes and then get the patient to tilt the head the opposite direction to drain it, and then I would go back in and suction the wax out. More and more often now though, what I'm doing, I'm actually suctioning and performing the procedure whilst the oil's in the ear. It's a bit more tricky to do because it means that I have to stand up a bit. I have to get off my medical stool because the patient's head's tilted across a bit. So this is the patient's right ear. This patient's head is tilted over towards their left shoulder, so their right ear is facing more towards the ceiling. And for me to get access, obviously, I then need to be at a higher level. And when you've got oil in the ear at the same time, you can get a bit of blurriness because as you're suctioning the oil, it does bend some of the light rays from the endoscope. Nonetheless, you do it in bits. If you fill the ear with oil, it does get really, really blurry. So just come with experience, you kind of know how much oil to put in to avoid that. And you can do it in layers. You can put a bit of oil in, remove the outer layer of the stuff and sticky wax, and then go back in with some more oil. So we're just mopping up around the edge, just with a fine end suction gauge probe here. Eardrums are nice and healthy. You'll see some staining around the edge. That's not important. A bit of wax is good for you. By removing that, and again, I explained to our clear wax delegates yesterday, I stressed the point, less is more. Especially when you're training and learning and you're getting accustomed and you're building up your skill level. Just trying to alleviate the patient of their symptoms. And then once you get a bit more experience, when you know you can remove a bit of wax here and there without adding any additional risk, then that's fine. But initially, I always stress to the delegates, don't overdo it. So this is the same patient, this is their left ear. I put some drops in straight away, put some more in there. And again, it's very glutinous. So this patient's got the wet wax gene. So the wet wax gene means that they've got a modified apocrine gland, which is the same, this apocrine gland is the same gland found under your armpits. Not everyone has it, it's a specific gene mutation, which you're more likely to have if you're from an African or European descent. If you're more from Far East or North America, so you have an ancestry in that region of the globe, you're more likely to have dry earwax, so you're less likely to have the same sweat gland under your armpit. So that's a still image of that plug I removed from the patient's left ear, kind of a big lump. This is patient 2, you can see very similar consistency of wax, very wet, glutinous. Ironically, both patients were from Asian descent, African descent, sorry, and so there was a bit of a trend there. But being in the UK, from a European perspective, so as I said, a lot of people from Europe also have this wet earwax gene mutation. So we do get a lot of patients here with wetter wax. If you see some of the procedures performed in the Far East, for example, they have much drier wax. It's a lot more dead keratin. There's a less oily sweat. So this is gene mutation. So this sweat we have on our armpits, an oily sweat. It's different to the sweat you have on your brow, which is more of a watery, a saline sweat. So I'm just wriggling this plug of wax. Just put some oil in there, just to again lubricate it, just to bind this wax together to get a better suction grip. You can see this plug. Although it's soft to the core, it's enveloped by a layer of dead skin, keratin. We're just wriggling this out slowly but surely. You can see that immaculate view we have in an endoscope. You can see the whole ear canal in one shot. There's a big plug that was. Nice, healthy. You can just see how cleaner it is. Yes, there's a strand of hair. I know we're not going to remove that, because by trying to do that, it's going to cause trauma to the ear canal. Sometimes with those hairs, there's a bit that I can latch onto. That was it was stuck to the drum and to the canal. The patient didn't know it. They've got it. It doesn't cause them any symptoms. I don't know whether if you follow me on Facebook and Instagram, so if you just search at the hair clinic, beginning of the year, I had glue ear, so I had viscous fluid build up behind my eardrum, and I took some images of my ear so I could share it with everyone. You can see I've got quite a few hairs in my ear that are stuck, and I'm blissfully unaware. So right ear came out a lot easier. This is the patient's worst ear. It was more impacted. You can see the eardrum, the medial part of the ear canal's slightly more red. Bit of soft wax there. So again, if it's a clear wax delicate, I would advise them just to leave that. But because, I've been doing this for a long time now, decided just to remove that, and there's a still image. So hope you enjoyed that, guys. Take care.